Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade and this is my show, Let's Talk Warhammer. We're talking 10th edition, which is so cool. So glad that we have the rules. If you haven't already, go to warhammer.com and then community and download your free rules. If you're a Space Marine or Tyranid player, download your index is what it's called, where you have all of your rules for your units. Super cool. Anyways, we don't have very long, so once again, you can find us on the Dragon's Lair at the Dragons underscore Lair, the underscore Dragons underscore Lair, or the space Dragons space Lair, and we're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. We're on it all. So you're gonna notice that the second video and the third video I'll cover some of the same topics, but we'll go into some more in-depth information. I only got 10 minutes, so let's go. Muster armies. We've talked about that quite a bit. Page 55 to 56. Go ahead and follow those rules. Watch the first video. Mission objectives. So in video 2, we talked about that there will be mission objectives. This is the actual mission that's in the book. So we're going to talk about actual mission. Capture and control. And this is very common. You'll see these rules repeated over and over again in many different places. They'll add some stuff, they'll take away some stuff, but knowing how to do this is important. Starting from the second battle round, at the end of each player's command phase, that player whose turn it is scores 1 victory point, or VP, for each objective marker they control, to a maximum of 3 VP per turn. Details on how to control objective markers are found on page 58. Here's the skinny. So you are within reach of an objective marker if you are 3 inches horizontally from it, away from it, 3 inches away from it, or 5 inches vertically. 3 inches horizontally, 5 inches vertically is a common rule that you'll find over and over and over again. It just applies to different stuff. 5 inches vertical is very common. So then inside of that circle, 3 inches around that objective, inside of that circle, you go to the data card for each unit, and then it's going to tell you OC. So it's up there with movement and leadership and save. OC, objective control is what it's called. So then you take all of the models, not units, models inside of that space, and you add up their objective control. So cool story, bro. Hormagaunts, most Gaunts for the Tyranids, have OC2. You can put a lot of Hormagaunts in a 3-inch circle around an objective marker, and all of them have OC2. It's going to add up. So Gaunts are going to be pretty good for holding objectives, maybe. And then another important thing that you need to know is you cannot stop your movement on top of an objective marker. That's just what the rules say. Maybe you and your friends are going to play a little bit differently. Maybe me and my friends will play it more casually. I don't think it's really going to break the game if you stop on top of an objective marker. But make sure you talk to your opponent about those types of things. Because in tournament play, ain't going to happen. You can't stop on top of an objective marker. Okay, so that's how you score. Create battlefield. We talked about this, page 4952. You want to have enough terrain where you have a variety of things. Tall buildings, usually anything over 5 inches kind of goes up into infinity. You can't see over it. There's a lot of different rules now for terrain. We're going to do a whole video on it. Don't worry about it. But you want to have big things. You want to have small things. You want to have walls. You want to have ruins. You want to have craters. You want to have all sorts of different things. You want to have a variety of things. And you want to have spaces big enough for vehicles to drive through or monstrous creatures to walk through. So then the size of your table needs to be sensitive to the size of the battle you're going to play. So incursion or strike force 44 by 60, onslaught 44 by 90. That's important. Someday I'll probably show you guys on YouTube. I have a bunch of tables in my garage, and you just got to have a variety of tables. Okay, so an important thing that's talking about right here. Players must then alternate setting up objective markers. So my friend Colin made objective markers, put all sorts of terrain and like rockets and missiles and crates and all sorts of stuff on them, and they all got a number. So objective marker number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Starting with, so players must alternate setting up objective markers on the battlefield, starting with whichever player wins a roll-off until a total of 4 have been placed. Objective markers cannot be placed within 6 inches of any battlefield edge or within 9 inches of any other objective marker. So that's when you're playing them willy-nilly. If you're going to play tournaments and stuff like that, odds are they'll have all the terrain set up ahead of time, and they'll have all the objective markers set up ahead of time. And when they publish the mission pack for the grand tournament, all that stuff will be pre-decided. So you'll be able to look at it and say, oh, this is, this mission has objectives like this and deployment zones like that, and so on and so forth. Defender and attacker. Players roll off to see, and the winner is the attacker. Not the winner decides. The winner is the attacker. Their opponent is the defender. Odds are, you can play more casually with friends, but the rules say, roll off, the winner is the attacker. Declare battle formations. So this is where you declare what units are attached. My Neuro Tyrant is with these Tyrant Guard. He's attached. This is where you declare what's inside of what transports. These Guardsmen are inside this Chimera, or these Terminators are inside that that Land Raider. I knew it was an elf. And then these units are in reserve. This is when you decide that. And you got to declare it. You can't be sneaky and be like, well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. You got to declare it. So then it says when both players have done this, they declare their selections to their opponent. So like I said, you got to be honest about it. Deploy armies. Players then alternate deploying their armies until one at a time, starting with players then alternate deploying their armies one at a time, starting with the attacker. Models must be set up wholly within their controlling players' deployment zone. So let's talk about deployment zone. I gotta move me. This is me moving. Whoa. Okay, so here's the battlefield. Attacker, defender, and then this is no man's land in the center. Okay. So you alternate until you don't have any models left to set up. If I've got all my models on the board and you have 10 more units, then you place all your 10 units. Fully within deployment zones. Determine the first turn. Players should roll off again, and the winner takes the first turn. This is where then the next step, step 8, is where you resolve pre-battle rules. Scout maneuvers and things like that. Any sort of redeploying. There's a Tyranid thing that does that. Begin the battle. So you take your first battle round, and then the player goes first, takes the first turn. Round, turn. Okay, that's important to know for new people. So you begin the battle, and then you play all of the rounds until you end the battle. The battle ends when all of the models in one player's army have been destroyed, or once the 5th battle round has ended. 5th battle round is the end. Determine the victor. So remember back over here in Capture and Control, where in your command phase, at the end of each player's command phase, where you're scoring, you want to write that down on the side. Use a die, use a piece of paper. Piece of paper can't be accidentally tipped over like a die can. So keep track of it, make sure it's right, be honest, be a good sport, be a good player. But keep track of that, because then at the end, you're going to add up all of your victory points. Now, from what I hear, there's going to be a deck of cards that comes with the box set, and the deck of cards is going to have secondary mission objectives, so you'll be able to score some victory points from secondary mission objectives. If the new codexes or anything like the old codexes, there'll be secondary mission objectives that are specific to each army. I really liked Cranial Feasting. I only played like one tournament in my whole 9th edition time, and it wasn't a real tournament. Like, it was a bunch of really cool people from up north playing some really cool games, and I used Cranial Feasting, and I got a lot of points out of it. Anyways, you add up all the victory points. The person who has the most is the winner. This is my 3rd video. It ties into video 2 and video 1, so if you have time, go back and watch video 2 and video 1. Once again, this has been The Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade. This is my show, Let's Talk Warhammer. We here at The Dragon's Lair understand you are probably a very busy person, so thank you for spending your time with us here at The Dragon's Lair.